What's going on? I'm live, back for another week. Yo, amateur superfan, fight hype. I'm always hyped for fight, bros. Always hyped for fights. Nice to see you. Nice to see you here already, man. Jeez, this is the 5th week in a row that I've been doing live streams, and man, I'm really enjoying it because this provides me a great opportunity to just speak to you guys beyond my videos or beyond commenting on my videos. So it's always nice to speak all to you guys, man. I think there's tons of you guys that there are so much knowledge, especially the guys that comment on my video. I'm finding that the more people that are commenting on my video are such educated fans of fighting. It's wicked, man. I'm really enjoying speaking to all of you guys. So this weekly catch up with you guys, it provides me with an opportunity to like get to know you guys. Yo, Eric, what's going on, G? Nice to see you about, man. I was just saying 5 weeks in now, man. 5 weeks straight I've been doing this, and it's a lot of fun, man. Speaking to all of you guys. All of you guys are such educated fans, and boy, have we got some stuff to talk about tonight. From everything from what happened in UFC last night. Yo, Brandon, what's going on? Stalker, UFC fanatic. Bro, get on. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, join us. So, yeah, man. Okay, so it seems like people are coming in. So, Eric, I think we'll go straight with your question that you asked on the bottom of my video. And for those of you lot who don't know what the question was, the question was with Khabib's suspension being announced and the situation that's going on, and also the hiatus that he's going to put on himself. Obviously, he's saying he won't fight again until November, so that means it's going to be a year before he fights. What does Tony Ferguson do next? Should Tony Ferguson be waiting for Khabib Nurmagomedov? Should he take another fight? So what's my opinions on that? And do I think I'll see a 165-pound weight class created, and who should fight for the belt? So I think there's a couple of things there that's very interesting for fight fans, particularly for fight fans of for those of us who want to see what weight cuts get abolished. I'm definitely one of them. I think introducing more weight classes provides more incentives for fighters to fight close to their weight as well. So let's go into it. So firstly, with Tony Ferguson, what do I think he does next? Yo, white man, love the channel, and thank you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate your support. You do some pretty good breakdowns yourself, man. So that means a lot coming from you, man. So I think Tony Ferguson should be getting to fight for a belt next. And I made a video touching on this. Tony Ferguson is the most deserving #1 contender in the history of UFC. I have watched MMA since I was a young child growing up, and I've gone back and watched everything historically. I know practically everything that's happened in the UFC, and obviously you guys will be able to catch me out fight here or fight there. But essentially, I know practically every fight that's happened. So when we're talking about Tony Ferguson, we're talking about a guy who's on got a nice treble up last night. Yeah, Walker by KO, Aldo KO, Maya submission. That is a nice treble, I must say, bro. You know, well, how much you bet? How much you get? So with Tony Ferguson, you got a guy on an 11-fight win streak who's won an interim belt, never lost it, never got to fight for a title. After that, he's come back and won another fight. Prior to that, he's beaten guys that are ranked in the top 5, like Kevin Lee. There is nothing more that man should have to do to be getting a title shot. He should be fighting for a title next. So if Khabib is going to stay solid on this and say he won't fight until November, in my opinion, UFC as a promotion should spin and say, cool, Khabib, you don't want to fight until November, but I personally think Tony is overrated. He may be overrated. He may be. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying I disagree with that. I'm saying at this point, it's just about what he's earned and what he should be getting. I think Khabib takes him down and holds him there, because when you look at, I still remember the Danny Castillo fight where he got taken down, and bloody hell, £200 from a £3 bet. That is good. Yeah, so I still remember the Danny Castillo fight when he took him down, held him there. Kevin Lee got the takedowns. I think Khabib can do that too, but that's irrelevant. You got to think about what he's done to have earned his title shot at this point in time. He deserves a title shot without any question. He's probably the most deserving #1. He may get to me. Tony ain't overrated. Yeah. Tony's not overrated. I think Khabib could beat him, but I wouldn't call him overrated. Anyways, so then you got so everything he's done, he deserves to be getting his title shot. What's going on, Marky boy? UFC's got to step in. UFC's got to say, all right, enough is enough. If you're gonna do this, you want to be loyal to your friends, cool, no problem. You do you. we're going to create an interim title. And I'm not the biggest fan of interim titles, but I think this is a situation that warrants an interim title. Because then you got Dustin Poirier lurking in the wings as well. Dustin Poirier's won 4 in a row, beaten back-to-back world champions, 3 straight main event wins. We're talking Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje, and Eddie Alvarez. He's 8-1 as a lightweight. His only one loss is to Michael Johnson. He should be getting to fight for a belt as well. So the only right thing here to do is introduce an interim title fight. I don't think Tony Ferguson should have to fight any more fights to be getting a title shot. But now, see, the issue with that then becomes is that if Tony Ferguson says, well, I already won an interim title, I don't want to fight for another interim title, I'm going to wait. If he does that, I personally will be a little bit upset by that, because Tony Ferguson is 34. In February, he's going to be 35 years old. Age beats every fighter, and particularly fighters that fight in the lower weight classes, because when you fight in the lower weight classes, you rely on your reflexes more. Tony Ferguson has been in a few wars, and he's relied on his gnarly grit and strength and ability to be able to get through the fights. That's going to be one of the first things that's going to start to go away. And I feel like Tony Ferguson is going to find himself in a position where if he keeps relying on his chin like that, as he gets older, we're not going to be seeing the same version of Tony Ferguson. So I don't want to see Tony Ferguson wait out a year, not fight because he only wants to fight first ever 2. Yeah, I know, right? That will be some piece of history. That will be some trivia. I think Tony should fight Khabib for the real belt as long as Khabib can fight in 6 months, reduce suspension. I think he should as well, but it depends on Khabib how strict he's going to be to what he said. If he said, because he said he won't fight again until his friends can fight, until Abu Bakr, his brother, and what's the guy's name? Zubair Tukhugov can fight. Then you got to do something. You got to introduce a belt because the division's got to be kept moving. And I just want to go back. So whilst because you mentioned something earlier, and I kind of touched on it. I didn't really go into it, but I kind of want to touch on it. I have to. This is a part of me that loves analyzing fights. That I have to do this. While I think Khabib has the ability to take down Tony Ferguson, and he is very crafty on the ground and can avoid the submissions. Let's look at Khabib Nurmagomedov's. If he wants to do that, consider stripping him. Let's look at Khabib Nurmagomedov's last couple fights. So he was able to take down Al Iaquinta, and he was able to take down Conor McGregor. He did get some resistance though, and I think 100% Tony Ferguson is going to put up much more resistance in defending takedowns to both Conor McGregor and Al Iaquinta. Tony Ferguson has got devastating stand-up. I think he's got better stand-up than Khabib Nurmagomedov. Even if he's not the best striker in the division, where he is so confident in his wrestling and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is better than anyone Khabib's faced, he's not going to be lost on his back. So if Khabib takes him down, it's going to take more resistance. When he gets him down, Tony Ferguson's going to put up more of a fight. On the feet, Tony Ferguson's got a slight advantage, and so he will definitely be able to survive through the rounds. So say he gets dominated for the first 2 rounds. In the last 2 fights of Khabib Nurmagomedov, he slowed down against Al Iaquinta in the third round where I get interested. That's exactly where I was about to come on to. He slowed down against Al Iaquinta in the third round, where he was stopped being able to get takedowns, and he slowed down against Conor McGregor in the third round, where Conor McGregor was finally able to defend his takedowns. I still think more divisions could be introduced this year. Ferguson has the best chance on the ground against Khabib. Yeah, Ferguson does have the best chance on the ground against Khabib. So in the third round, if Khabib starts to tire, we already know Tony Ferguson won't start to tire. And then he's going to get nasty. Anytime Khabib takes him down, he'll be elbowing him on the top of his head. He's going to be in a fight. Then we're looking at rounds 4 and 5. Khabib Nurmagomedov has never been in a true fight. The most difficult fight he's had was Gleison Tibau, but more recently, because let's say he's evolved since then. More recently, the Conor McGregor round 3 was probably the only round that you could argue that he may have lost. Tony Ferguson won't start to slow down. How does the fight start to play out then? So while yes, I would pick Khabib Nurmagomedov, I am not convinced that Tony Ferguson gets smoked. Tony Ferguson is a very crafty veteran with great conditioning, good stand-up, and great BJJ off his back. He's also a good wrestler. So he would make it interesting against Khabib Nurmagomedov. I feel like Tony Ferguson has just gone and has yet to display solid wrestling in the UFC despite his stand-up. Yeah, so his chin is starting to get a little bit suspect at this point, because you saw him get dropped against Anthony Pettis. You saw him get dropped against Lando Vannata. So I've seen him dropped a few times, and his chin is starting to get questionable. but I wouldn't venture to it's gone yet. He displayed solid wrestling. See, I think because he is so confident of his back, yeah, despite his wrestling background, yeah, okay, yeah. But I think because he's so confident of his back, a lot of the times he's not fighting the takedowns, almost like Nick Diaz and Nate Diaz used to do back in the days, and I didn't particularly like that. But it will be a more interesting fight than I think you're giving it credit for. And I think Tony Ferguson is pretty good, Wyatt. So that's something that bears considering. The second part of the question for that Eric asked: do I think they'll introduce a 165-pound division? Before I answer that question, I want to have some fun with that. Who do I think should be fighting for that belt? I really like this question. I really like this question. I think a lot of this depends on how the division plays out and what happens in a couple of these divisions. So now, if Khabib Nurmagomedov wants to hold out and not be fighting and he wants to be doing whatever he's doing, maybe one way to get Tony Ferguson in there for a world title is 165-pound weight class, because unless you've forgotten, Tony Ferguson won the Ultimate Fighter at welterweight, and he's knocked out everyone who's ever faced that welterweight within the UFC's thing. So Tony Ferguson can fight at welterweight, and then you got to consider stuff like, well, who's available at welterweight that might want to come down. So going up to 165 means he doesn't have to go all the way up to 170. So that could be an appealing option to him. Kevin Lee said he will go up. He's got a lot of fans clamoring for him. And I know he lost to Ally Quinta, but a lot of people like him. And it's not a precedent that hasn't been set for UFC to set up world titles where the guy's coming for loss. That's exactly where I was going to go to. Colby Covington also deserves a world title fight. And with everything that's going on, knowing the Kamaru Usman and Tyron Woodley fight happening, maybe the way to make things right with Colby Covington is to offer him a world title fight. So there's two guys very deserving of world title fights in opposite divisions, could fight each other in the middle. Well, it's not the middle, but they could fight each other to get a new 165-pound champion. Now you've got a very, very good world champion to introduce that weight class. I like the idea of that, and it really appeals to me. Then you got guys on the fringe of the top 15 of the lightweight division that could make 165-pound very interesting, like guys like Mairbek Tasimov, Rustam Kabilov. Then you got guys like Michel Pereira at welterweight, who's won 8 fights in a row, but he isn't in the top 15 or top 25. Or I don't know what's going on with him. So he could make that division very interesting. Kevin Lee, who struggles to make lightweight, but he's a very good fighter, he could go to 165. Do I think they're going to introduce that division? I don't think they're going to introduce that division, though, if I'm honest with you. And it's kind of sad for me to say, because I would like to see more divisions. Because creating a division just 5 pounds below welterweight, it puts, I think it puts UFC in an interesting position. I think a lot of the fighters will scurry on down there. Then you've got guys like lightweight, they're going to scurry on up there, and I think it depletes the division. I think that's what UFC is concerned about. I like the idea because I think it provides more avenue for fighters to be fighting in. I don't think they're going to do it though. So that kind of sucks for me, man. I would like to see that, but if I'm to make an assumption based on what I've seen in business practices in UFC over the years, I don't think a new weight class is about to be added. So it's going to be interesting to see what it plays out. There's a lot of talk on it. They would have to move welterweight to 175. Yeah, I like that idea. I think that weight divisions, it's always confused me with the way that MMA's done their weight classes. It's got 125, 10 pounds more, 135, 45, 55, and then for some reason they jump 15 pounds for the next weight class. I've never understood that. Why didn't they go to 165 in the first place? I never got that. But then they got 170. Then on top of that, 15 pounds on top of that to make 185. Then you got a 20-pound weight difference between 185 and 205. It's confusing for me. I've never realized. It's like someone sat there and said, all right, this number can be one weight class. This number can be like they pulled it out. I don't know why they've done it like that. But never happened, Dana White running things. Yeah, I think that stuff like that is where a lot of promotions can differentiate themselves from the UFC product. And I think that opportunity exists for promotions outside the UFC banner to differentiate themselves from the product. Actually, I'm going to be putting out a video on Wednesday about why I love One Championship and why all of you guys should love One Championship as well. So be sure to check that out, guys. So yeah, man. I would like to see a bit of a shake up in the weight classes personally, but I think outside of the UFC is where it's going to have to happen. Yeah, and then look at the jump 205 to 265. That's crazy, man. You got guys that are maybe they're too, like Ryan Bader, for example. Ryan Bader's a 230-pound man, lean at 230 pounds, can obviously fight at 205. He's pretty good at 205, but then he could be fighting someone like Francis Ngannou, who's 265, who might just beat him on brute power alone. So that's crazy. There needs to be some consideration of weight class. And I think the hard thing with heavyweight and light heavyweight in particular these days is that there's not that much depth at either division. So to add in another weight class in the middle of that would deplete the reserves, and you gotta wonder what that would mean. So that's kind of interesting. All right, so that brings me on to what I want to talk about a bit more now. The card last night was absolutely insane. I really, really enjoyed the card. And the guy I want to talk about off the bat is Johnny Walker. So what did you guys think of Johnny Walker's performance over Justin Ledet? Because I'll tell you something. I think Justin Ledet is a solid fighter with a good skill set, and he can achieve a lot of things. Maybe not going to be a world champion, but he can be a serviceable top 15 fighter for a lot of guys to fight, either top guys to fight on a rebound to see if they still got it, or prospects coming up to fight a guy like that to demonstrate what they've got. So for Johnny Walker to come out there and do what he did against Justin Ledet, that was insane. I remember watching that fight. I turned to my little brother. I was like, "Oh my god, did you see that shit?" And my little brother turns to me, and goes, "Yeah. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT." But obviously hyperbole. But but it was crazy, man. I was really, really impressed with his performance, and I'm really interested in seeing what's going on. The fight that I would love to see for Johnny Walker is him versus Thiago Santos. Imagine the roided up male strippers are dangerous. Great night of fights. Johnny Walker is a real deal, 6'6" as well. He's massive. Guys coming up at 205 are getting taller with longer reach. Jones may have trouble in the future. So that's another good point. Let's look at some of these guys that the light heavyweight division's got some contenders again. So he's fighting Anthony Smith. I like Anthony Smith, but I think he's going to get battered. Then you got Thiago Santos has moved up. You got Dominic Reyes, who I'm very, very intrigued by, and I'm really enjoying seeing him come up. Yeah, Rakic. He's another. What's he 3-0 in the UFC now? That's another really interesting prospect. Then you got Johnny Walker, who was just talking about. There's some good guys coming up at light heavyweight now. Corey Anderson's still there, obviously. He's one. I'm not that impressed by Corey Anderson because I've seen him get knocked out so many times. But he's improved, and he's clearly improved. So the light heavyweight division seems to be a bit more interesting. Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker are my two favorites, but Rakic is solid, man. I like Rakic too. Jordan Johnson too. That's right. He's 4-0 in the UFC, Darnish. So yeah. That's another guy, man. There's some guys to think about now at 205, and I like that because John Jones come back. He wants to go. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for checking out my stream, man. I'll catch you next time, bro. So there's some guys to check out at 205 now. The division's getting interesting again. It's getting exciting. I'm really enjoying it, and I want to see what comes off that next. So let's watch. Just keep our eyes on Johnny Walker. Let's see who he might get matched up with next. I think there's some fun fights out there for him. Who do you guys want to see him fight? I would love to see him fight Thiago Santos, man. That's my favorite fight. And I know Thiago Santos is fighting Jan Blachowicz in Poland, but if he can get through that, and I think he will get through Jan Blachowicz, I'm really excited to see that. Darnish, why are you typing like you're not in the room? No, Darnish ain't in the room right now. He's out to uni, innit? Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Darnish, my little brother. So and he's been in a couple of my videos. So yeah, he's down at uni right now. Anthony Smith versus Jones is a joke. I hate Jones, but he wins that fight one arm tied behind his back. Yeah, Anthony Smith is gonna get battered, man. I like Anthony Smith as well, man, but he was not ready for that fight. I don't know. I don't know why he wanted to rush into that fight so much. But I suppose that with 43 fights on your ledger, having been fighting for as long as Anthony Smith has, That's probably the biggest payday he's ever gonna get. You might as well catch your ass whooping. I can see why he took it, but yeah, he wasn't even ranked at middleweight. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that we see him get knocked out by Thiago Santos, and that was some Mortal Kombat shit that Thiago Santos done to finish that fight. That kind of goes to show a little bit about the light heavyweight division as well, though, ain't it? Like, I think the middleweight, I think that's why I think Luke Rockhold can have quite a bit of success at light heavyweight, particularly if he's interested in the fights again. So if he's interested in fighting again, especially actively, I would like to see Luke Rockhold come back. I used to like, not personally, I never liked him when he went there and grabbed the tiger by the balls and all of that shit. I didn't like that shit, man. I've never been a fan of all of that shit. Did you know Amanda Nunes is a lesbian? I'm not going to respond to that. So yeah, man. But I think Luke Rockhold could do all right at 205. I think Luke Rockhold could have some fun at 205. I think there's some good stylistic matchups for him. I think Chris Weidman should think about making the shift as well. He's 1-4 in his last 5 at middleweight. I think middleweights can do some stuff at like heavyweight, so it should be fun. Amanda versus Holly. Amanda versus Holly is probably what's going to happen now, to be honest with you, because they pulled Holly out of the fight with Aspen Ladd, and I wasn't even sure she was going to beat Aspen Ladd, but they pulled Holly out of the fight with Aspen Ladd. Amanda Nunes saying she don't want to go up to 145 again, so the Cyborg rematch ain't going to happen. There ain't really no other top contenders at bantamweight, women's bantamweight. There's that Brazilian girl. Oh, what's her name? Oh man. I was gonna bet on Holly to beat Aspen Ladd. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be so sure, man. Like Ketlin Vera, that's the one. Yeah. Thanks for that, Darnish. I wouldn't be so sure that she could beat Aspen Ladd, man. I think Aspen Ladd's got some skill, but Nunes versus Holm is gonna happen next. That's gonna be the next fight. I think that's the reason. There's no other big fights. What they're gonna do? Ketlin Vera is 4-0 in the UFC, but she ain't fought in like a year. So it's probably what they're going to do. Amanda Nunes talked about going down to 125 real quick, but I don't think she wants to go. I think she'll lose at 125 to Shevchenko, to be honest with you. So that's probably what's going to happen. What else was on the card last night? Jose Aldo looked scissor. What? I don't get the scissor. Yeah, it just clicked in after. So that's what they do. Okay, so Jose Aldo looks solid, man. Yeah, but Vieira is 1-0 in 3 fights. Jose Aldo looked good last night. What do you guys think? We're in China. We know, like, ain't in China. It's America. Well, I'm not in America, but they live in America. It's an international sport type chance, so I suppose there's that. So, Jose Aldo's fight with Renato Moicano. So, for those of you who saw my breakdown of that fight, I had Jose Aldo winning. I thought Jose Aldo was going to win, but I thought he was going to win a decision over 3 rounds. I felt like he had the experience edge. I felt like he was a more dynamic, explosive striker, and I felt like maybe over 5 rounds, Moicano could have started to do something. In 3 rounds, it didn't suit him. I did not anticipate Jose Aldo to brock him up like that. He beat the shit out of him. He beat him like he stole something. He wanted to teach him a lesson, so he taught him a lesson. Jose Aldo's a beast. Jose Aldo is a beast. He moves. So yeah, Jose Aldo. I wish he would get the Conor McGregor rematch, because I'm not saying whether he would win or lose, but I would like to see him. Everything he's done in his career, he deserves the opportunity to get at least try to right that wrong. Whether he does or he doesn't, he deserves the opportunity to have tried. It's not fair for him that he has to retire, never had the opportunity to. That should be at 155. Mahatma Gandhi should be at 155. I thought it was a little bit of an early stoppage, to be honest. The Renato Moicano one, it could have been seen as an early stoppage, but to be honest, I'd rather a slightly early stoppage than a late stoppage, particularly a young fighter like Renato Moicano, who's got the entirety of his career ahead of him, and he's got so much to go ahead and achieve. I don't mind seeing the fight stopped a bit early, particularly that one right there. It looked like Jose Aldo was just going to beat on him. So I wasn't that upset with that stoppage. I do see what you mean, though. I'm not saying I disagree with that. Aldo looked like a Spartacan last night, 13-2 for the KO. I imagine that. That's because he hasn't got that many finishes lately, has he? So, like, he stopped. Well, funny enough, he's got back-to-back finishes now. Jeremy Stephens and Renato Moicano. But before that, he stopped Korean Zombie in 2013. That was when Korean Zombie dislocated his shoulder mid-fight. And prior to that, so his last true finish was Chad Mendes in January 2012, and that was off the back of the cage grab. So I think a lot of people had forgotten this version of Aldo existed. And it's almost like now that he ain't got the world title pressure on his shoulders, he's fighting a lot more freely and he's being a lot more devastating. So there's that. And I thought TJ Cejudo stoppage was legit. Yeah, I felt like that was legit, man. You don't get dropped 3 times. Cole, what's going to happen? Henry Cejudo's probably the best wrestler in MMA right now, pound for pound. What's going to happen? You're just going to catch more beatings. Plus, at 125, TJ was never going to win that fight. He wasn't going to win that fight. When you look at TJ's career as well, he had been rocked in back-to-back fights. Then at nearly 33 years old, you're going to cut down to 125 for the first time in 15 years to fight an Olympic world champion wrestler and the world champion in the weight division below who beat Demetrius Johnson. Obviously, you're gonna get clipped. You're gonna get. Come on, I didn't pick Henry Cejudo to knock him out. I picked Henry Cejudo to win. For those of you who've seen my breakdown of that fight, that was a bad move, man. Body shots are sickening by Aldo, and the celebration, no security was keeping him. But the jump that when he jumped over the cage and then he ran around the platform and he saw those security guards there and he jumped over their head, that was absolutely epic. Hey, I love that so much. It took me back to the Chad Mendes fight. I couldn't be happier to see it for Aldo, man. There's not a fighter that I was happier for than Jose Aldo last night. Honestly, that was brilliant. Dillashaw made a fool of himself. His chin suspect now. Called that KO. That was a pretty good call. If you called that KO, Stalker, like I'm quite impressed. If you called that KO, his chin is suspect now, and he did make a fool of himself. I wish he would have just stayed. I don't see why all these guys are jumping weight classes without defending their belt against all the legitimate contenders. Rafael Sunsao shouldn't have had to get knocked out by Marlon Moraes last night because the sport should take priority over big money or high attraction fights. And I'm saying that as a hardcore fan. I don't care what makes UFC money. I want to see fights that make sense for the sport. Rafael Sunsao, whether or not people consider him boring, I don't particularly consider him boring. He shouldn't have had to get knocked out by Marlon Moraes last night. TJ should have been defending his belt against him, and that kind of stings me. So it's kind of annoying, man. Shout out to Marlon for that sick call out. Yeah, that was funny, man. Yeah, that was funny. I like Marlon Moraes. I like him a lot. It's sad to think that Moraes is gonna get a title shot. Dude is more juice than Paulo and Yoel combined, and he's an asshole. I don't like to say whether or not he's on juice. He's passing USADA. He definitely doesn't pass the eye test. But you know what? Off topic. Do you ever watch YouTube Street? I watch YouTube Street fights all the time. Amateur super fan. I love YouTube Street fights. When I'm bored and I can't sleep, sometimes I struggle to sleep at night, so I just stay there watching street fights on YouTube. Actually, there's one channel that I follow. Darnish actually showed it to me. It's called Street Beefs, and it's somewhere in America. I think it's Virginia. And let me not say nothing rude about the channel because I watch it quite a lot. But what they do is they basically set up a ring outside, and like they'll have like boxing, kickboxing, and MMA fights. But it's between basically unskilled fighters. They got a couple of good fighters there on random ones, but then they'll set them up to fight each other. It's quite fun to watch. You guys should check it out. It's quite funny. Wyatt, did you see Moraes tried to take the mic off? Yeah, that was so awkward when he tried to take the mic off Bisping, and then when Bisping gave him the mic, he had nothing to say. I'm like, oh, Marlon, please, man. But then he kind of saved himself. I'm with you, man. They ruined the sport by not using rankings, Brock getting a potential title shot versus DC. Yeah, that pisses me off. I can see why Daniel Cormier wants that. It pisses me off, man. To me, the sport takes precedent, and one of the main reasons why I started this YouTube channel was because I've been around watching I've been around watching fights from I remember I used to watch Prince Nassim Hamed as a child on the TV, and I used to watch WWE. I love WWE, and they introduced Ken Shamrock as the world's most dangerous man when I was like 6 years old. I was 96, and I remember I was there. I turned to my dad. I was like, "What does he mean, the world's dangerous man?" And he fought Owen Hart in what they call the Lions Den match. I don't know if any of you guys are wrestling fans, so let me not dwell on this too much. But that's where my love for fighting started, and and then I ended up catching some MMA as I grew older and I started watching the fight. So for me, I've always wanted to see the sport grow, and I've wanted to see it treated as a legitimate sport. And when I start seeing guys like Brock Lesnar getting title shots 5-3 with 1 no contest, having tested positive for steroids in his last fight being what, 2.5 years ago, probably 3 years by the time he's fought. That's not what I want to see. I want to, and particularly in Daniel Cormier, one of the all-time greats, final fight, I want to see him fight someone legit. MMA is the best sport in the world. This is my favorite sport in the world. I also love boxing. I love boxing, and MMA is probably my favorite sport in the world. I love MMA, man. And honestly, MMA has been the place that I've turned to no matter what's been going on. There's so much. There's so much to love about MMA, and there's so much about watching martial arts and two guys that love fighting and have trained their hardest to meet each other in the ring. It's incredible. Looks like Juiced Up. Those remember Juiced Up? No. I don't remember cartoon. Who loves boxing more, you or James? James loves James loves boxing more. So those you don't know, James, my boy, I done a video with him. It's on who Conor McGregor should fight next, and it was at that time. Obviously, if you watch it respectively of the time I made a video. But James is just a boxing fan. But as much as I love talking to James about boxing, and James will probably see this, James, I think, can tend to be a little bit biased when he's talking about boxing sometimes. And actually that kind of goes back to my point of why I'm talking about this. Fury was robbed. You don't outbox someone for 9 rounds and lose. Because look, if you're doing it on the scoring system, I watched that fight again. And I love Deontay Wilder too, but Fury won that fight. All day, every day. Fury won that fight. But hopefully they set up that rematch, and I'm happy Deontay Wilder's not being a bitch about this, and he's going to give him his rematch, and hopefully Fury will get his. That's a fight I'm really, really looking forward to, man. And then I think Tyson Fury is going to beat the snot out of Anthony Joshua if they ever fight. I think Tyson Fury is the guy at heavyweight, man. He's going to unify the division. I think a lot of Tyson Fury, and his story is incredible, man. Just think about everything Tyson Fury has done to rebuild himself off the ground. When you think about a guy who had hit rock bottom, suicidal, depression, 450 pounds in weight, and then he just got himself in shape again. I struggle to watch boxing because the judge, yeah, man, it pisses me off. Like, it ruined Canelo versus GGG for me, and this breaks my heart now. Canelo doesn't have a win on his record over. GGG doesn't have a win over Canelo on his record. That pisses me off because he won the first fight. There's no question, and even the second fight he could have edged that. So how are these corrupt judges? But to be honest, you know what? You're right. The corruption in boxing does ruin it for me. Anything surrounding Canelo Alvarez is so shady. He tested positive for drugs and he's back fighting again in 6 months. Then the shady decisions. Let's not forget the decision with Mayweather. One guy gave him a draw. Against Mayweather. Mayweather beat the shit out of Canelo. It's so bad. Agree, Fury is back. The judges ruin every boxing fight. Yeah, I hate it, man. GGG won the second fight, no question too. Yeah, it was closer than the first. I gave it to GGG, so that pisses me off hard, man. So it hurts me, man. Marcus Perez stopped the Anthony Hernandez hype train. Oh, Marcus Perez won last night, yeah. Okay. You see, that's information for me. Canelo is the John Jones of boxing. Yeah. That's a good comparison. Very unbeatable on steroids. Oh, man. Hopefully, I'm hoping. This is. I think a part of me thinks Garcia is going to beat Errol Spence, but I like Errol Spence. What I wouldn't mind seeing is Errol Spence, if he's to beat Garcia, move up to fight Canelo Alvarez, because I think that's an interesting fight. But Danny Jacobs, a lot of people are writing off Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs has ways to win that fight. I wouldn't necessarily pick him in that fight, but Danny Jacobs has a skill set that could take him to victory. And I don't know if you've seen Danny Jacobs versus GGG. That was a great fight, man. So if you ain't seen that, check that fight. Danny Jacobs is an interesting guy to see what's Canelo made of. So So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the Danny Jacobs fight. That's going to be a fun fight. And Marlon Moraes versus TJ Dillashaw. Let's quickly touch on that now. So Marlon Moraes has looked like a absolute damn savage since the Rafael Sunsao split decision. He's gone on. He beat John Dodson, who's a difficult fight for anyone to look good against. Particularly, I don't know what happened to John Dodson. He used to be so fun to watch, but he's changed anyways. Maybe he's later older in his career. He fights at 125, so okay, I'll credit what credit's due. Maybe he just aged. Then he knocks out Aljamain Sterling. He knocks out Jimmy Rivera, and now he knocked out Rafael Sunsao to revenge that. For anyone who wants to sit there and talk about how fighters outside the UFC are not UFC caliber, or fighters in that UFC solely has the best fighters, yo, what's going on, Dan TTV? Anyone who wants to say that only UFC has the best fighters in the world, and yes, they have a large majority of them, but Marlon Moraes is a slap in your face if you're a UFC shield, because boy, look what he's done in UFC. So that's pretty impressive. And actually, speaking of outside the UFC, like Gegard Mousasi, I think he's the best middleweight in the world, regardless of where he's fighting. I think he beats Robert Whittaker. I think he beats Kelvin Gastelum. I think he beats them all. Gegard Mousasi is about. So there's legitimate guys, man. There's legitimate guys outside the UFC. So yeah, there's something to consider. A lot of people don't like. A lot of people don't like it, man. A lot of people don't like to consider about fighters outside of it, and I don't know what it is. Maybe people get. I don't know, man. I can't. It bothers me so much. I've done a video specifically talking about it, and I talk about One Championship. I love the One Championship product. I've done a video talking about that specifically. So I think I really hope that people start to take notice of the sport outside of the UFC now, man. That will be fun. I mean, even guys like Rick Story, he was in the UFC for years. He just lost in PFL and retired on the back of that. Ben Henderson was a world champion in the UFC, went and got slapped around in Bellator for his first 6 fights. He went 3-3. Didn't look particularly impressive in any of his fights. Come on, man. So yeah, man, that's some stuff to consider. There is good fighters outside of the UFC as well. So yeah, man, that's something to consider. Let me think. There was one more thing I wanted to mention. Sergey Kovalev. That's it. Sergey Kovalev last night, he beat Eleider Alvarez. Now, for those of you who are into boxing as well, my man, he was just commenting in the video section just now. Boxing MMA 365. If you're still here, just drop a message. He's done a breakdown of that fight, and I was listening to his his breakdown of the fight. He is such an educated fight fan, and just check out some of his content. He's pretty good, man. But Sergey Kovalev really impressed me, man, because after he knocked out by Eleider Alvarez in the 7th round last time they fought, I didn't know what to anticipate coming into this fight. I probably felt like Sergey shouldn't be taking this fight. Maybe even he should be considering about what's next. But he comes out there, wins another world title, gets the UD. That's a good win for him. That is a good win. So I was impressed by him, man. Yeah, the fight didn't finish till 7 a.m. Yeah. That's the thing about being a fight fan here in the UK, and it's hard for us, man. What I tried to do once was, just when I was starting off this channel, I was I've only been doing it for 6 weeks, but I done a live commentary on the John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson fight, and I was doing it, and I was all mic'd up and everything, and the fight's on, and I'm trying to, but I am tired. So I work on Saturdays as well. I have a full-time job and a part-time job, and on the Saturday job, I wake up for that job. To get into that job, I wake up at about 6 a.m. I went to work, done a 10-hour shift, came home. All my boys were around my house to watch that UFC, and that UFC didn't start. That fight didn't start until about 4:30, 5 a.m. By the time the fight started, I had been up for 23 hours, done a shift. I was exhausted, and I thought it would be a good idea to mic up and start breaking down the fight. And though I was still doing the commentary, because it's just a habit, I can look at a fight and I can break down what's going on, and I like to believe I stay completely unbiased when I'm talking about a fight. Man, that was a difficult time, man. Like, woo! I was so tired, so I probably ended up looking like an idiot in that commentary. So I think for now, I'm gonna try to keep my commentary on a lot of the UK fights and see what's going on in the UK, man. Can't wait to hear your take on the Till versus Masvidal. Thank you, bro. I'm gonna be doing a breakdown for that fight. I'm looking forward to that fight. I love George Masvidal. I've been a huge George Masvidal fan since as long as I can. Since as long as I can remember. One championship is awesome. I was a Thai boxer in my earlier days, so any fighting, I'm there. Sergey, yeah, one championship is dope, bro. One championship is straight dope. Actually, that's boxing and Muay Thai is my background as well, man. Boxed as a child, started Muay Thai when I was 13. Done it for years on and off. I still box now. I do a bit of Muay Thai as well. So yeah, man, that's my background too. And actually, on one championship, Jonathan Haggerty was fighting on the last card. Jonathan Haggerty's father, his dad's name John Haggerty. I used to know him as John. He actually coached me in Muay Thai. He actually taught me my Muay Thai. I'm very close to the one championship product, man. I love the one championship product. That's a good shout. Sergey was impressive, man. I sleep during the day before the fights. Yeah, I wish I could sleep during the day before the fights, but it don't matter, man. The fights are on. I don't give a shit if I've been up for 48 hours. I'm watching the fights, man. You're working hard all day, every day, doing what you're doing. You need a way to de-stress, and for me, it's watching fights. I love fights, man. I love fights. Kovalev won easily though, easily enough. 100, yeah, straight up he did, man. So yeah, man. And for those, hey, let me just quickly touch on this, and then I'll look to wrap it up. I've got to get set for work tomorrow. Tyrone Spong is now a 13-0 boxer. So Tyrone Spong, I'm sure anyone who's in my stream right now will know who Tyrone Spong is. Tyrone Spong was a 9-time world champion kickboxer in Glory, has wins over the likes of Remy Bonyaski, Stefan Leko. He fought everyone, man. He fought everyone. His last fight, he broke his shin against Gokhan Saki, and he fought twice in MMA as well. Of course, he's very closely linked to the MMA, being through the Blackzilians, but he's gone to boxing now. He's 13-0. He's the WBC and WBO Latino heavyweight champion. He's got 12 knockouts. In his last fight, he got a split decision. And I'm a big fan of Tyrone Spong, so I'm hoping he can go on to do some big stuff. I like to think that there's some interesting boxing fights coming up for him. I think a striking letter is a straight up striking letter. If you're a fan of music, I'm uploading a Real American CD later today. Timeless music from, I'll be checking that out, G. 100% I'll be checking that out. I'm a huge fan of music. So I'll be checking that out. Yeah, man, straight up. Tyrone Spong's a straight up striking legend, and I think there's so many fun fights for him. I think with Derek Chisora just getting knocked out by Dylan White, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Dylan White. I wouldn't mind seeing him test the chops of up and coming heavyweights. Maybe even fight what's his name? Fujimoto, the Japanese guy who's like 20-1, or Zhilei Zhang, the 20-year-old Chinese guy. There's some good fights. Did you think the point deduction of David? Yeah, you know what? Straight up, let me be honest with this. When it comes to point deductions, I know it was just one eye poke. I think anytime there's an eye poke, it should be an instant point deduction. There should be no discussion. Fighter should be warned in the back. If you're gonna poke, if you end up poking your opponent's eye, you'll be minus a point straight away. They need to be more considerate. And he went out there, double poke, went down. I understand it's an accident, but that's gonna have an impact on the fight, especially a fighter like Charles Oliveira, who ain't got 20/20 vision and the best of times. I think if there's an eye poke, straight point removal. I don't give a shit what anyone says, or if it's an accident. Of course, it's an accident, but eye pokes have consequences. Alan Belcher's eye damaged his career. Michael Bisping, eye pokes have consequences, and in a fight, the moment an eye poke happens, the fight should be straight up. There should be a straight up point deduction. There we go. No question about it. I don't think they'd ever do that. Yeah, I don't think they'd ever do that as well, but it'll be the right thing to do. I really hope they do. Eye pokes, grown strikes all need real consequences, because if there's no real consequences, what's stopping fighters from doing it once or twice, getting themselves a nice decisive advantage in the fight, and then be like, cool, I ain't doing it no more. Well, you put yourself in a position that's gonna have consequences in the fight, man. Straight up point deduction, man. Bun that shit. I ain't down for that, man. Take a point for that. Agreed. Eye pokes change the fight outcome. Yeah, man. Yeah. If any of you guys ever been eye poked, I got eye poked once when I was doing a jits class. I was rolling was Nogi. Got caught right in the eye. My eye was so I couldn't even. I had to take at least 5 minutes out, wash my eye out, chill out for a bit, get back into it. It's difficult, man. Yeah, so we did use Coogan interview Dylan White with Eddie Hearn. I don't know, Dylan didn't go mad with Coogan. I haven't seen that. I need to watch that. I'll probably watch that after this. Paulo versus Uriah Hall yeah, that's another perfect example. Shit like that has consequences, man. Too perfect growing track. I don't like it, man. I think fouls need to be punished. So guys, I think at the 45-minute mark now, so I think I'm gonna start to wrap up. Go iron work clothes and shit. So thank you to everyone who joined in. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed today's conversation. It was a much more free-flowing conversation with all of you guys, and that's what I'm trying to do. Please tune in next week. If there's any questions you guys want me to pick up in the next week's live stream, just ask it at the bottom of this video when it comes up. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel. So thank you, guys. Have a good night, everyone. Great conversation with all of you.